It was a rainy Tuesday in a town nobody writes songs about, the kind of gray day that seeps through your coat and makes you wonder if you're living the wrong life. My name's Maya Ellis, 22, art student, waitress, big sister, full-time worrier. I was running lattes at the Beacon and Pine Cafe, a shiny little spot for people with old money and young boredom, when my whole life tipped. That afternoon, I wiped down marble tables until my fingers burned from bleach thinking about my kid sister Sophie stuck in a hospital bed across town. 2 part-time jobs, 2 community college classes, no savings, same rain every day. Then she walked in. Late 70s, maybe, posture straight as a ruler, silver hair twisted into a perfect knot, a cream-colored cashmere coat you could spot from space. She sat at table 7, always the same table hands folded around her tea-eyes, staring out at the rain like she was watching a movie only she could see. She barely spoke except to say, "Thank you, dear," in a voice like brittle leaves. And on that day, she left something behind. I was clearing her table when I saw it, a diamond ring the size of a marble sitting on the dark marble surface like a lighthouse. It caught the cafe's lights and exploded them into 1,000 rainbows. I swear my breath stopped. This wasn't costume jewelry. This was a life raft. Sophie's treatment's real art school heat in winter. All of it sat right there glinting under my palm. My manager barked from the back. Ellis table 4, but I couldn't move. My hand trembled over the ring. 2 futures unfurled in my head like split film reels. One where I slid it into my apron and walked out rich, one where I turned it in and stayed broke. I closed my eyes and saw Sophie's thin face, the beeping machines, the way she still tried to smile at me. I heard my mom's voice from years ago saying we didn't have much, but we had our name. My fingers closed over the ring, cool and heavy as a coin flipped in midair. I stood there until my heart slowed, then wrapped it in a napkin and tucked it into a box that once held my mom's locket. 2 days later, I was on a bus headed to the kind of neighborhood where sidewalks have gates. My secondhand coat felt like a joke. The address I'd found in a society blog led to a red brick fortress of a mansion. I stood on marble steps, knocking on a door the size of a billboard, rehearsing my explanation. The housekeeper looked me over like I was selling encyclopedias. "Mrs. Whitlock doesn't take visitors." "Please," I blurted. "She lost something at the cafe. I need to return it." Minutes later, I was ushered into a library big enough to park cars in. And there she was, Eleanor Whitlock, the elegant woman from table 7, now behind a mahogany desk stacked with leather-bound books. Up close, she looked softer, but her eyes were steel. "You're the girl from the cafe," she said. "Yes, ma'am." My hand shook as I opened the little box. "I think this is yours." For the first time, her composure cracked. She gasped, hand flying to her chest. "The Star of Adoria," she whispered, eyes shining. She wasn't looking at money. She was looking at a lost part of herself. "Do you know what this is worth, child?" "I looked it up," I murmured. "Enough to change a life. And yet you brought it back." Why? I swallowed hard. Because it wasn't mine. Because my sister's watching me. I have to be someone worth looking up to. Her eyes softened like thawing ice. She reached for a checkbook. "Tell me a number that would change your life." I hesitated. A blank check sat between us. I could have named any figure, but it felt wrong, like selling a piece of my soul. "If you really want to help, my sister's meds cost $375 this week." Eleanor blinked, then slowly tore up the check. She handed me 4 crisp hundreds instead. "Take this, and your full name, Maya Ellis." She repeated it as if tasting it. "You're a very unusual young woman." I left the mansion clutching cash that felt warmer than any diamond. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 2 mornings later, a black town car rolled up outside the cafe. My manager's jaw practically hit the floor when Eleanor Whitlock walked in tweed suit, perfect eyes locked on me. "Miss Ellis," she said in a voice that silenced the room, "I have a proposition for you." In his office, cramped between a fax machine and a stack of invoices, she laid it out, a hidden inscription inside the ring coordinates initials, AD, a sister who disappeared 60 years ago, and a mystery she couldn't solve alone. "I'll pay you $5,000 a week. I need your eyes, your honesty. Will you help me?" I stared at her. 5,000 a week. More than my whole year of tips. More than I'd ever imagined. But it wasn't just the money. It was the plea in her voice, the chance to matter. "What do we do first?" First, she smiled. "You quit this dreadful job." The look on my manager's face when I handed him my apron worth framing. We started at the park, marked by the coordinates, nothing but trees and benches now, then dove into archives at the public library. Day after day, we scrolled through microfilm old city maps, society pages. My artist's eye caught a detail on a 1964 map, a building called the Argent Gallery, right where the park stood. Digging deeper, we found reviews of a new artist initials, CV. Eleanor's hands trembled. Clara Vance, my sister. A private investigator led us to the attic of Alistair Damien's nephew. Under dust and linen, we found a treasure, canvases bursting with color and fury. Signatures, CV. Eleanor touched a self-portrait like it might vanish. She confessed in a cracked whisper how their father had driven Clara away, how she'd stayed silent. "I chose his approval over her happiness," she said. "She begged me." Then at the bottom of a trunk, a birth certificate slipped free. September 1968. Mother Clara Vance. Father Alistair Damien. Child Rose Damien Vance. I stared at the faded document. A baby no one knew existed. Eleanor whispered, "I have a niece." The investigator kept digging. Closed adoption records. Years later, the baby was adopted by a couple named Miller, renamed Sarah. Sarah, my mother's name. I pulled from my wallet the only photo I had of my mom as a young woman and held it next to Clara's hospital photo. Same eyes, same cheekbones, same mouth. My hands shook so bad the picture rattled. Eleanor saw it instantly. "It can't be." The phone rang. Mr. Graves on the line. "We found her." The child became Sarah Miller. Eleanor dropped the phone, staring at me as if I'd materialized out of a ghost story. In that moment, the world tilted. I wasn't just some waitress. I was Clara's granddaughter. Eleanor's great niece. The ring hadn't just found me, it had come home. The weeks that followed felt like stepping into someone else's movie. Eleanor paid for Sophie's treatments at a Swiss clinic. She introduced herself to my sister as Great Aunt Eleanor. Sophie's face lit up like I hadn't seen in months. Lawyers moved faster than I thought possible. Paperwork recognized me as Eleanor's sole heir, but that wasn't the prize I wanted. I sat across from her in the library one night, sketches spread over the table. "I don't want to run a corporation," I said. "I want to build the Clara Vance Foundation Grant Studios gallery space for artists like my grandmother, like me." Eleanor's eyes filled. "Your grandmother would be so proud." Months later, we stood together at the grand reopening of the Argent Gallery, now the Clara Vance Museum. The air smelled of fresh paint and old wood. Cameras flashed. I stepped to the microphone, a small velvet box in my hand. "A few months ago, I was a waitress on the edge of giving up. My life changed because of an act of honesty, because of a ring that belonged to my grandmother, Clara Vance. It unlocked not just a mystery, but a family." I opened the box. The star of Adoria gleamed under the lights. Today, it's not a temptation or a burden. It's a promise to honor artists whose stories deserve to be told. I slipped the ring onto my finger. It felt like closing a circle that had been open for 60 years. But even with all the answers, there are still questions. Why do families erase the ones who don't fit? How many hidden talents get lost because nobody with power cared enough to look? And what would you have done standing in my shoes that rainy afternoon? Would you have kept the ring or given it back? Tell me in the comments. Tell me if you think doing the right thing still matters, or if the world just chews up people like that. Because I know this one small act of honesty can change not just your life, but the lives of people you never even knew you belonged to. If this story made you feel something, anger, hope, disbelief, hit that like button. Share it with someone who's ever wondered if integrity still counts. And subscribe for more true life stories with twists you won't see coming. Because sometimes the biggest fortunes aren't measured in dollars or diamonds, but in the family you never knew you had.